Shri Chinmaya Sadgurave Namaha. Upavedas Sthapatya Ved. The Maya style of architecture is predominantly found in the southern parts of India, while the Vishwakarma style is more prevalent in the northern regions. Even today, Vishwakarma remains a common surname in western India, and members of this community are generally skilled in civil and construction related work. Do you know, according to Indian architectural principles, the land on which a structure is to be built is considered the Vastu Purusha. This Vastu Purusha is viewed as a symbolic representation of cosmos. The land is then divided into a Vastu Purusha Mandal, which is typically square shaped. The square shape emphasizes symmetry. Consequently, the site is divided into mandalas or squares ranging from a minimum of 1 by 1 square to a maximum of 32 by 32 1024 squares. The Vastu Purusha is said to reside within this mandal. Each square is regarded as the abode of a specific deity, and various parts of the structure are designed accordingly. Do it yourself. Can you list some of the renowned architectural marvels attributed to Vishwakarma and Maya? References to their works can be found in various Puranas and Itihasas. For instance, according to the Mahabharata, Maya was the architect of the grand palace of the Pandavas in Indraprastha, the capital city of the Pandavas. These master architects are created with many significant structures, often described in ancient texts as embodiment of divine aesthetics and cosmic order. Exploring these references offers valuable insight into the cultural and technical sophistication of ancient Indian architecture. 4.3 Vastu Purusha and Vastu Purusha Mandal. According to northwest, northeast, southeast, southwest, east, west, south, north. According to Indian architectural principles, the land on which a structure is to be built is considered as Vastu Purusha. For instance, the central square is reserved for Brahma. In the case of temple architecture, the Garbhagriha, the innermost sanctuary of the temple, where the idol of the deity is enshrined and worshipped, is typically constructed at the Brahmasthala, the center point of the Vastu Purush Mandal. Story. The story of Vastu Purush is found in the Matsya Purana. There was once an asura named Andhaka, who continually harassed sages and disrupted their penance. Eventually, the sages appealed to Lord Shiva for protection. In response, Lord Shiva engaged Andhaka in battle and ultimately destroyed him. The battle lasted for a considerable period of time. After Andhaka was slain, a drop of sweat from Lord Shiva's body fell to the ground, from which a monstrous being emerged. This monster was perpetually hungry and began consuming everything on earth, causing immense destruction to nature. As he was about to devour Devaloka, the realm of the gods, all the Devas united to stop him. They surrounded him from all directions and pinned him down to the earth. While pinned to the earth, The monster pleaded with the Devas to release him. The Devas agreed on the condition that he could reside in any place on earth that was enclosed by four walls. Furthermore, the inhabitants of such a place must pay their respects to him. If they failed to do so, he would have the power to punish them. Conversely, he was also to bless those who honored him with prosperity. This monster later came to be known as Vastupurusha. Do you know, in the ancient Indian arts and architecture, symmetry holds the highest significance. Vastupurusha is regarded as inherently symmetrical, and accordingly, his pictorial representation in the form of Vastupurush Mandal also reflects this symmetry. In the Balakanda of the Ramayana, Lord Rama is described as Sama Vibhakta Angaha, meaning one whose body proportions are perfectly symmetrical. The emphasis on symmetry seen in the concept of Vastupurusha is echoed in later Western art and architecture as well. In fact, according to certain scholars, the much celebrated drawing of the Vitruvian Man by Leonardo da Vinci, based on the writings of the Roman architect Vitruvius, Vitruvius is thought to have its conceptual roots in the Indian treatise Vishnu Dharmo, Vishnu Dharmottara Puran. This ancient text elaborates upon the Indian art of painting with particular emphasis on symmetry. Jaiswal, a fluid, the approach, a fluid, an approach applied by geniuses over centuries. Wisdom Tree publication 2018, page 203 to 207. Image Lumo Vitruvian Man by Leonardo da Vinci. Image credits Wikipedia. Do it yourself. During the worldwide lockdown brought about by the COVID-19 pandemic, an art form known as Mandal art gained significant popularity on the internet. This art form, based on symmetrical patterns, has its origins in India. Explore the roots of this ancient artistic tradition and understand its cultural and spiritual significance. To further appreciate how symmetry enhances the aesthetic value of art and architecture, you may use the following free online software to create your own mandal. 4.4 Purpose of Sthapatya Veda. According to the Vedas, the entire world, including all living beings, is composed of five elements known as the Panchamahabhutas. When residing in a dwelling, it is essential to maintain a harmonious balance or alignment of these five elements in order to attract positive energy. The primary objective of Sthapatya Veda is to establish this alignment between the five natural elements and the Vastu, the structure to be built, ensuring that the constructed space is utilized optimally and fulfills its intended purpose. To facilitate this, Vastu Shastra or Sthapatya Veda prescribes a set of principles for the architecture and construction of Vastus. 4.5 Constituents of Sthapatya Veda. Vastus are classified into the following types according to Sthapatya Veda: residential premises, Avasiya Vastu; commercial premises, Vyavasayika Vastu; religious premises, Dharmika Vastu. Thus, Sthapatya Veda encompasses civil architecture, which includes palaces, residential buildings, public infrastructure, town planning, as well as temple architecture. 4.5.1 Civil architecture. 1. Residential house. This includes the architecture of residential premises, Avasiya Vastu, as well as commercial premises, Vyavasayika Vastu. Town planning also constitutes an integral part of civil architecture. Avasiya Vastu is further divided into 5 types. 1. Trunajam, structures made of hay or grass. Kashtajam, Trunajam, grass, Kashtajam, structures constructed using wood. Mrunmaya, houses made of mud. Shailam, stone built houses. Ashtikam, brick houses similar to modern urban constructions. Trunajam, Kashtajam, Ashtikam, Mrunmayam, Shailam. The type of ideal residential house depends on the stage of life, ashrama, of the person residing in it. According to the Samaranga Sutradhara, residential houses are categorized based on the status and profession of the occupants. For instance, designing a house for the middle class necessitates a different approach than from that used for the higher class. Accordingly, the text outlines 10 types of houses, ranging from single room dwellings to those comprising 10 rooms. Royal palaces. The architecture of a royal palace requires intricate detailing. In addition to residential complexes for the king, his harem, family, and attendants, other components such as meeting halls, sabha, courts, gardens, stables, balconies, and courtyards must be carefully designed. Fortification of the palace is also necessary for security purposes. Therefore, an architect designing a royal palace must possess not only knowledge of architecture and aesthetics but also an understanding of foreign relations, internal security, and related matters. These royal palaces were generally categorized into 2 types: Nivasi palaces used by the royal family for residential purposes, Vilasi palaces intended for recreational activities. According to the Manasara, royal palaces were also classified based on their shapes as follows: Vairaja, square shaped; Kailasa, circular; Pushpaka, rectangular; Manika, cylindrical; and Trivishtapa, octagonal. Do you know? In the Ramarajya, comprehensive descriptions of Ayodhya and Lanka, the respective capitals of Rama and Ravana, are provided. Detailed accounts of the royal palaces of Rama, Dasharatha, Kausalya, and Kaikeyi appear in the Ayodhya Kanda, while Ravana's palace is described in the Sundarkanda. In the 17th chapter of the Ayodhya Kanda, it is mentioned that Rama passes through 5 courtyards of the heavily guarded palace of King Dasharatha. While going to meet him, he traverses the first 3 wards in the chariot and walks through the remaining 2. One can only imagine the grandeur of these palace wards, large enough to allow passage of a chariot, indicating the sheer scale and architectural brilliance of the palace as a whole. सकक्ष्या ध्वनिभिर्गुप्तास्तिस्रोतिक्रम्य वाजिभिः पदातिरपरे कक्षे द्वे जगामनरोत्तमम्. Ramayana Ayodhya Kand 17.20. Do it yourself. In almost every state of India, there exists at least one royal palace or fort that has become a prominent tourist attraction. These structures are often celebrated for their distinctive and remarkable architecture. Can you identify the names of such renowned forts and palaces known for their unique design and historical significance? For example, the Hawa Mahal in Rajasthan is a notable example. 3. Town planning. A planned city promotes reduced traffic congestion, the smooth and timely movement of people and goods, and optimal living conditions. Therefore, the planning of towns is accorded the highest priority in Vastu Shastra. Even in the Arthashastra, a treatise primarily on statecraft, Kautilya has devoted considerable attention to town planning. Manasar, one of the key texts of Sthapatya categorizes various types of towns based on the layout of roads, the positioning of houses, and other public infrastructure. Model meaning design description. Dandaka, shape of a staff stick, straight parallel streets intersecting one another at right angles. Nandyavarta, shape of square or rectangle. Maximum of 5 carriageways with surrounding streets, internal roads featuring a single footpath, and outer roads equipped with 2 footpaths. Allocation of designated blocks for specific activities. The town is fortified. Sarvatobhadra, shape of square or rectangle. Carriageways ranging from 1 to 5. The town is secured by walls with 4 large gates and additional smaller gates at the corners. Padmaka, shape of lotus. The roads are equal. The roads are of equal length and breadth. The outer walls of the town are circular, hexagonal, or octagonal in shape, giving the town a lotus-like appearance. There are 4 to 8 streets lined with houses. Swastika, shape of swastika. Two streets run through the center, with traversing streets arranged in a clockwise direction. The outermost roads should be lined with a single row of houses, while the other streets should have a double row of houses. The temple is located at the center of the town, and the temple complex must have 8 gates, 2 on each side. Prastara, shape of square or rectangle. The town is divided into 4, 9, or 16 wards by a network of streets with roads laid out in a chessboard pattern. The town is enclosed by walls and ditches, with 4 principal gates to the south and subsidiary gates at the corners. Karmuka, semicircular like a bow. 2 carriage streets, 1 principal street, and 1 to 5 transverse streets. Houses are situated on both sides of the streets. This is the ideal design for a seaside town, with the number of gates being optional. Chaturmukha, shape of square or rectangle. 4 carriages streets on the 4 sides, with 2 large streets crossing at right angles in the center, dividing the entire area into 4 blocks. Each ward contains 4 smaller roads. This town design is specifically meant for the traders community. Do you know the knowledge of town planning is still applicable today, and the principles can be observed in many major planned cities of India. For example, Jaipur is a planned city designed by Maharaj Savai Jai Singh with the assistance of architect, a space for imparting knowledge such as a school, a kitchen, and various other functions. Siding DT is placed. Its construction is based on the principles of the Vastu Purusha Mandala. This is the hall adjacent to the Garbhagriha. It is further divided into Ardhamandapa entrance porch and the Mahamandapa main hall. 3. Balipitha. This is the altar where offerings are made. Dhvajastambha. This is the flagstaff or ceremonial pillar erected in front of the elevated temple structure Vimana. 5. Prakara. This refers to the open space and or enclosure surrounding the Garbhagriha. Adhisthana. This is the base platform upon which the entire temple structure is constructed. Shikhara. This is the towering spire or pinnacle of the elevated temple structure Vimana. Prastara. This refers to the roof of or horizontal superstructure of the temple. There are principally three architectural styles for temple construction. 1. Dravida, 2. Nagara, and 3. Vesara. Among these, the Dravida and Nagara styles are more commonly observed. The Vesara style is a hybrid of the Dravida and Nagara traditions. It is a common misconception that the Dravida and Nagara styles are 3. Panjara. This structure has a dome-shaped shikhara that resembles the form of a gooseberry. 2. Vallabhi. This is an arc-like structure on the shikhara. These arches are referred to as Gavaksha. In every design of an Indian temple, these forms are repeated continuously in the form of ediculus, thereby creating an intricate patterns through such repetition. These ediculus are independent shrines in themselves. Thus, it can be said that an Indian temple is essentially a shrine composed of many smaller shrines. In Indian temple architecture, patterns are often created to introduce a sense of dynamism to the structure. This is achieved through techniques such as splitting, bursting of boundaries, progressive multiplication, and similar methods. Refer to the following video to understand the concepts of repetition and dynamism as employed in Indian temple architecture. Do it yourself. Examine the following two photographs and identify the types of ediculus that are repeated in the structures. Can you also determine the names of these two temples? Image credits. Deposit photos 3. Trip warning. Such as Nagara or Dravida, or are they a blend of both? Do they adhere to the same principle of ediculus, small shrines that together form one large shrine? Identify the similarities and differences between modern temples and ancient temples. Do you know Mahabalipuram, also known as Mamallapuram in Tamil Nadu, is a UNESCO World Heritage Site that features rock cut architecture, temples, reliefs, and more. The Ratha temples found there are often regarded as models for Indian temple architecture, particularly the Dravid temple. Dravid style. Thus, Dravid style temples are believed to have drawn inspiration from the concepts and designs of the monuments at Mahabalipuram. For instance, the Ratha temple is considered a model for the Gopuram, a distinctive feature of Dravid temple architecture. Mahabalipuram is also known as the School of Indian Temple Architecture, as various elements of temple design are clearly showcased here. 4.6 Artistic aspect of Sthapatya Veda. Sthapatya Veda is not limited to architecture and sculpture. It also encompasses drawing and painting. Thus, all esteemed art forms are part of Sthapatya Veda. The earliest rock paintings can be found in the Bhimbetka caves in Madhya Pradesh. The Vishnu Dharmottara Purana discusses the interdependence of visual arts. Chapters 35 to 43 of this Purana focus on painting. According to the Chitra Sutras, which are included in the Vishnu Dharmottara Purana, there are 6 components Shadanga of the Indian art of painting and iconology. These are Rupaveda, different forms of typologies, Pramana, measurements and proportions, Bhava, portrayal of different emotions, Sadrishya, similarity, Lavanya, Yojanam, adding grace and beauty, and Varanika Bheda, differentiation and analysis of colors. Although these principles are mentioned in relation to paintings, they are equally applicable in all forms of visual art. And other interesting architectures. India has a long history of brilliant architecture. Some of the most noteworthy and unique architectural features are as follows. 1. Step wells. From the Harappan water drainage system to the water conservation techniques of Chhatrapati, construction and ornamentation of step wells, architecture. 2. Rock cut architecture. How is a building typically constructed from the bottom to the top? But what if we told you that there are intricate temples in India carved from top to bottom? Such unique structures Such unique structures are found in rock cut architecture in India, where large monolithic structures are carved from top to bottom in a single stone. There is no disposal of debris from the stone removed during the carving process. One such temple is the Kailashnath temple in Maharashtra. Take a look at the following video to learn more about the rock cut architecture of India. 3. Rock reliefs. In the Indian architectural tradition, rock cut architecture is a more commonly observed feature. The distinction between rock reliefs and rock cut architecture lies in their form and execution. Rock reliefs are carvings made on large stone surfaces that remain attached to the original rock formation. In contrast, rock cut architecture involves carving away the unwanted portions of the rock, thereby fully detaching the structure from the original rock mass. Notable examples of rock relief structure include the Shiva rock relief at Unakoti, Tripura, the descent of the Ganges rock relief at Mahabalipuram, and the Anantashahi Vishnu relief in Odisha. Refer the following video which provides an explanation of the rock relief at Unakoti. Do you know the design of the newly inaugurated Parliament building unveiled by the Prime Minister draws inspiration from the ancient Bija Mandal or Vijay Temple of Vidisha, Madhya Pradesh. In contrast, the design of the older Parliament building was influenced by the Chausat Yogini temple. Therefore, extensive research in Sthapatya Veda is imperative and timely. 4.9 Overview of the chapter Architectural Designing Principles Vastu Shastra Sthapatya Veda Civil Architecture Dharmic Architecture Residential Houses Royal Palaces Town Planning Trunajam Kashtajam Runmayam Shailam Ashtikam वैराज कैलास पुष्पक माणिक त्रिविष्टप दंडक नंद्यावर्त सर्वतोभद्र पद्मक स्वस्तिक प्रस्तर कार्मुक चतुर्मुख टेम्पल आर्किटेक्चर द्राविड नागर वेसर बिब्लियोग्राफी त्रिपाठी वास्तुशास्त्र ईस्टर्न बुक लिंकर्स जुगनो श्री कृष्ण मय मतम चौखंबा संस्कृत सीरीज ऑफिस आचार्य पीके इंडियन आर्किटेक्चर अकॉर्डिंग टू मानसार शिल्पशास्त्र मुंशीराम मनोहर लाल पब्लिकेशन गौर एने स्थापत्य वेद वास्तुशास्त्र न्यू एज बुक्स पिल्लाई हिंदू आर्किटेक्चर शिल्पशास्त्र भारतीय कला प्रकाशन कुटुंब शास्त्री भारतीय वास्तुशास्त्र परिचय पाठ्यक्रम National Sanskrit University Senugupta Revisiting the Ancient Arcane and Esoteric Science of India International Center Quarterly Sthapati Vastushastra and Ancient Treatise Vastu Vedic Research Foundation Mahadevan B. Bhatt Nagendra Pavana Introduction to Indian Knowledge System PHI Learning Private Limited Pulaskar Understanding the Vastu Shastra City Planning in Walled City of Jaipur Kramrisht the Vastu Vishnu Dharmottar Puran Vishnu Dharmottar Part 3 A treatise on Indian painting and image making Thapatya Sankalpana अपरानंत प्रकाशन बिब्लियोग्राफी चिन्मय विश्वविद्यापीठ चैनल 64 कलाज बाय प्रोफेसर गौरी माहुलीकर चिन्मय विश्वविद्यापीठ चैनल वास्तुशास्त्र बाय श्री श्रीनाथ मोहनदास एडम हार्डी इंडियन टेम्पल आर्किटेक्चरल चैनल emanating temple forms National Geographic India channel, a temple turned upside down. It happens only in India, National Geographic. Ancient architectural architecture channel, the mystery of the Kailas temple of India. Ancient architecture. Chapter 5 Arthashastra एकाकी मन्त्रशक्त्याय शक्त्या शक्तिधरोपमः आजहारनृचन्द्राय चन्द्रगुप्ताय मेदिनीं नीतिशास्त्रामृतं धीमानर्थशास्त्रमहोदधेः समुद्धत्रे नमस्तस्मै विष्णुगुप्ताय वेधसे Nitisar 1.5.6 Salutation to that wise and proficient Vishnugupta who prudently collated the nectar in the form of Nitisar, Nitishastra, from the big ocean of Arthashastra, and alone, without any assistance, brought the entire earth under the control of King Chandragupta with the help of his counseling skills. Expected learning outcomes at the end of lesson. Learners will be able to define Arthashastra, understand the significance of Arthashastra, identify the key constituents of Arthashastra, recognize the contemporary relevance of Arthashastra. 5.1 What is Arthashastra? Arthashastra is considered the Upaveda of the Atharva Veda. Literary Arthashastra means the science of Artha. But what does Artha signify? Does it refer to money, to meaning itself, or is it one of the four Purusharthas, goals of life discussed in ancient Shastras? Each of these interpretations, though varied in part, may be too narrow to encompass the full scope of Artha. Vatsyayan in the Kama Sutra defines Artha as follows: Vidya Bhumi Hiranya Pashudhya Dhanya Bhandopaskara Mitradinam Arjanam Arjitasya Vivardhanam Artha. The term Artha includes the acquisition of knowledge, land, metals such as gold and silver, food, grains, vessels, material wealth, and friends, implying social networks and alliances. Moreover, Artha not only involves obtaining these assets, but to the broader institution that core elements: a defined territory, land, sovereignty, population, and government. However, Kautilya's conception of the state includes 7 constituents, the fundamental building blocks, which are discussed further in this chapter. And that from Kama Sutra, Vatsayana was Kama Sutra 1.2. Arthashastra deals with the following: 1. Public administration and governance. 2. Civil and criminal judicial system. 3. Ethics. 4. Economics. 5. Markets and trade. 6. Appointment of government officials. 7. Diplomacy and foreign policy. 8. Theories of war. 9. Wealth generation through agriculture, mineralogy, mining, animal husbandry and related fields. 10. Town planning. Arthashastra is not limited to any one of these disciplines because running a state needs all these things. Do you know the 3 terms nation, country, and state are often used interchangeably in everyday language. However, they represent distinct concepts. A nation is a group of people who share common elements such as culture, ethnicity, language, institutions, and history. The identity of a nation is formed through one or more of these factors acting as unifying links among its members. A country refers to a geographical territory marked by defined boundaries and governed by its own administrative system. A state, not to be confused with a state in the sense of a province, is a political entity established by law, endowed with sovereign powers, and entrusted with the responsibility of governance. While these concepts are rooted in European political thought, ancient Indian civilization also demonstrated a nuanced understanding of similar distinctions. The term Rashtra in Sanskrit is often equated with nation. However, there is a fundamental difference. Whereas the concept of a nation is rooted in shared culture and history, a Rashtra is grounded in Dharma. Dharma, an expansive concept, is not confined to religion or tradition. It denotes an overarching sense of order, discipline, and righteousness, though even these translations may not fully capture its depth. Consequently, Rashtra possesses a broader and more profound scope than the modern notion of a nation. In his seminal work, Arthashastra, Kautilya uses the term Rajyam, which closely aligns with the modern understanding of the state. Therefore, Arthashastra is recognized as a foundational treatise on statecraft in ancient India. 5.2 Literature of Arthashastra. Although Kautilya's Arthashastra is considered the principal text on Indian political thought and the art of statecraft, similar ideas are also reflected in other works such as the Mahabharata, Niti Sar by Kama, Kamandaka, Manusmriti, and Dandaniti by Keshava Pandit, among others. The Arthashastra, authored by Kautilya, remains the most well known and influential treatise on the subject. However, it is important to note that it was not an isolated intellectual development of its time. Kautilya himself acknowledges earlier contributions to the field by thinkers such as Brihaspati and Ushanas. Kautilya's Arthashastra comprises 15 adhikarans, books or sections, which are broadly categorized into three main parts. 1. Internal administration of the state, Tantradhikar Adhikaran to 1 to 5. 2. Foreign policy, Avapadhikar Adhikaran 6 to 13. 3. Miscellaneous Adhikaran 14 and 15. Rakshasa. When Chanakya arrived in Kusumapura, the capital of the Nanda kingdom, he was dismayed by the misgovernance and incompetence of the ruling Nandas. Upon being invited to a royal ceremony, Chanakya attended the Nanda court but was gravely insulted by King Mahananda, who dragged him from his seat and pulled him down by his shikha, tuft of hair. Deeply offended, Chanakya vowed to destroy the Nanda dynasty and began searching for a worthy successor to the throne. He found that worthy candidate in Chandragupta. Under Chanakya's rigorous training and strategic mentorship, Chandragupta overthrew the tyrannical Nanda kings and established Maurya rule in Magadha, grounded in the exceptional principles of statecraft espoused by Chanakya. Chandragupta's successors Bindusar and Ashok were also illustrious rulers. who expanded the Mauryan Empire further. At its height, the Maurya dynasty encompassed nearly the entire Indian subcontinent, excluding a few extreme southern regions. The modern Indian national flag bears the Ashoka Chakra, also known as the Dharma Chakra, a motif commonly found in the edicts of Emperor Ashoka, a prominent monarch of the Maurya dynasty. Objectives of Arthashastra 5.3. One may ask, is the state of lawlessness as etymology of Durga is Dukhena Gantum Shakyate iti Durga, which means that which can be reached only with great difficulty. In other words, something not easily accessible. It was so named because it was intended to be a secure and highly significant place. As the residence of the king, it had to be well protected and difficult for enemies to reach. Therefore, such forts were often constructed in challenging terrains such as in the middle of water bodies, deserts, forests, and similar locations. Do it yourself. In India, numerous palaces and forts were built by rulers of various dynasties. Today, many of these have become popular tourist attractions. Identify at least 10 such fortified monuments from across India and attempt to classify them according to Kautilya's typology of Durga. For example, in Maharashtra, Raigad Fort can be classified as a Parvata Durga, hill fort, while Sindhu Durga fort falls under the category of Audaka or Jala Durga, water fort. 5.4.5. Kosha Treasury. Arthashastra places Kosha before the army Danda because without a treasury, an army cannot be built or sustained. The Arthashastra is one of the oldest treatises on economics. A study of the Arthashastra could be incomplete without an examination of the economic and financial principles it presents. In fact, the text is often more commonly associated with economics than with statecraft, owing to the robust economic framework laid out by Kautilya. It is noteworthy that Arthashastra does not concern itself with the fourth Purushartha moksha. Instead, it focuses on the other three goals of human life: dharma, artha, and kama. According to Kautilya, without artha, neither dharma nor kama can be attained. The Arthashastra identifies agriculture, cattle rearing, and trade as the foundational pillars of the economy. It outlines 72 sources of income for the royal treasury, categorized into seven main revenue streams. One from forts Durga 21 types, two from the countryside Janapada 13 types, from mines Khani 12 types, from irrigation works Setu 5 types, from forest Vanam 4 types, from cattle herds Vraja 5 types, from trade routes Vanikapatha 2 types. From these sources, revenue was collected in various forms. They are as follows: Mulya, travel permits. They are the soldiers of friendly kings. They are the soldiers of friendly kings. They are employed in times of emergency or to confront common threats. Amrita, to confront common threats. Amrita, these are soldiers of and his interest. Capacity to seize control of the state due to capacity to seize control of the state due to their access to destructive weaponry and hierarchical command structures. However, coups generally occur only when institutional interests are neglected, grievances go unaddressed, or when civil military relations are dysfunctional and forces no longer respect the government. These principles are also reflected in the Arthashastra, where Kautilya emphasizes the importance of job security and support for the families of soldiers. Tax exemptions are granted to army personnel, highlighting the special attention given to their well-being. This causes ensures that soldiers remain content and are less likely to harbor grievances. According to Kautilya, such loyalty to the king requires that the ruler himself be a capable and ethical leader. To this end, Kautilya outlines the qualities of an ideal ruler and subjects him to Raj Dharma, the duty and moral code of a king. 5.4.7 Mitra Allies Foreign Policy. A king must possess trusted allies. A state and its ruler without reliable alliances remain vulnerable to external threats. Recognizing this, Kautilya provides a comprehensive framework for foreign policy strategy. These strategies are grounded in the relative balance of power between two rulers. The power equations can be categorized into three types: the king intending to initiate action. This involves preparing for war and building military strength in anticipation of an eventual and inevitable conflict. 5. Samshraya. This means seeking protection or alliance with a more powerful king. Dvaidhi Bhava. This is a dual policy wherein the king simultaneously enters into a treaty sandhi with one ruler while pursuing hostility vigraha against another. The appropriate timing for the adoption of this foreign policy strategies can be understood as follows. When one is weaker than the adversary, sandhi, peace should be pursued. When one is stronger, vigraha, conflict becomes a viable option. If both states are equal in strength, asana, neutrality may be the most appropriate course. When one possesses considerable strength, one can afford to prepare for war, thereby adopting yana as policy. Conversely, if one is very weak, samshraya or seeking protection would be the prudent strategy. Dvaidhibhava is an especially interesting approach. It aligns with the adage, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. Forming an alliance with one king while pursuing hostility against a common adversary serves as a practical example of this dual strategy. To implement these six stationary Arthashastra. 5.5 Conclusion. It is evident find reflection in present day administration. Although the Arthashastra was written for a monarchical system of governance, and today we operate in an Institute for Security Studies. Sethi S.C. Chaudhary PR 2022. Foreign Policy in Kautilya's Arthashastra. A critical analysis of the importance of Rajamandal theory in India's foreign policy in the 21st century. International Journal of Creative Research. Thoughts. Suryan, Sumaryani, Sumaryani, NM, Sumaryani MNL 2021 Kautilya's views on secret activities of intelligence in Arthashastra and its current relevance. Vidyuttama, Sanatan International Journal of Hindu Science and Religious Studies. Bibliography Chinmaya Vishwavidyapit Channel Ancient Indian Statecraft An Introduction to Arthashastra by Dr. Vinayak Rajat Bhatt. Chinmaya Vishwavidyapit Channel Lessons on Finance in Ancient India by Professor Gauri Mahalikar. Links are given. Om Shri Chinmaya Sadgurave